Hello, Garland Nixon here, and it is Friday, July 4th. And we're at a very interesting time. Interesting time in that this is, I guess, whatever you call it. I call it False Flag Day. But whatever the case may be, I think we need to talk about the condition of the U.S. empire and its proxies. Let's talk. Hello, Garland here, clicking around here for no apparent reason. And hello and happy 4th of July, as I like to call it, False Flag Day. At least this 4th of July maybe will be. There's a what I consider a false flag protest going on, the so-called No Kings protest. I find that kind of hilarious if you look into it. You know, it's like, remember the Seinfeld show, and it was like a show about nothing. They used to, make that joke sometime, a show about nothing. It's all about nothing. And they had some things going on here and there. And I thought, notwithstanding all of the, stuff that we found out about Jerry Seinfeld being a crazy Zionist. But I repeat myself, crazy and Zionist, or evil and Zionist, all those things being what they may, the truth is this show was a hilarious show, right? But it was about nothing. Well, I would make the argument that a No Kings protest, boy, no kings. I got an idea. Why don't we make the next protest No Aliens protest? We can have a No Kings protest, No Elves. I think that's a good one, the No Elves protest. Who wants elves? They're flying around there with their little wings going all over the place, casting spells on people, little sprites running around. No elves, no kings, no fairies, no whatever, magical creatures. How about we go with a no magical creatures and just cover them all? It is so absurd that I can watch people sheepdogged into a worthless nothing protest that ask for nothing. Ask for nothing. Look at the Martin Luther King, what is it, 1963 protest or whatever, right? They were asking for a $2 minimum wage. Think about it. They were asking for something. They were asking for jobs. They were asking for fairness and stop discrimination. They had a list. If you said to them, hey, what are you protesting for? They'd say, look at the sign right there. Jobs, whatever, discrimination, fairness, no war, whatever. It was written on a sign right there. And now you look at No Kings, and literally they've got no kings, no thrones, no crowns. Okay, well, if you don't have a king, you probably don't have a throne and crown. So now it's symbolic. The symbolism is supposed to be Trump is a king. Trump, he's trying to be a king, and we're going to protest symbolically that Trump can't be a king. So we're in a system that is committing a genocide, in a system that's involved in a war against the only country on earth that has more nuclear weapons than the United States, which is Russia, right? In which Russia says this is existential. Why? Because the United States is literally bringing its military hardware up to Russia's base, up to Russia's border. The United States literally overthrew the country that is always used to attack Russia, installed a Nazi regime, which Nazis hate Russia, that want to kill Russians, passed laws in this country that says it's illegal to speak Russian, it's illegal to worship or be connected to the Russian Orthodox Church. It's illegal to teach Russian. It's illegal to speak Russian on air, to play Russian music, to read or possess Russian books. All of these things are illegal on a country on Russia's border as a result of the United States overthrowing the government and installing a Nazi regime. And we got a bunch of people. They're able to convince millions of people to go out. Dare I add this? This started prior to Donald Trump coming to office. And we got a bunch of people who are out in the street saying, oh yeah, We don't want kings or crowns or how that's part of the collapse of America. It's an intellectual collapse. It's epistemological crisis, right? Epistemology. And what is epistemology? Epistemology is basically empirical thought, critical thought. If I believe something, how do I know it's true? If I know something, how do I know it? If someone says something, hey, that tree is an oak tree, epistemologically speaking, how do you know it's an oak tree? Well, I've identified the type of bark. I've identified the trees. Here we have an acorn, acorns, and I can say this is how I know that this is an oak tree. However, now we're in an epistemological crisis, a critical thinking crisis, where you just told to make some symbolic statement and then go out in the street and protest with a sign that says no kings, and ignore all of the things that are happening, that were happening before Trump came. And then if Trump drops dead tomorrow, they'll be happening again tomorrow. Doesn't matter to Trump. I've had people say, well, Trump, and I'd say, I got a question for you. But Trump dropped dead tomorrow, you think all these things will be fine? If Trump just disappears, if the aliens come down, gotta love the aliens. The aliens come down and shine a bright beam down, and Trump looks like this, and he goes limp, and he goes up the right beam into the alien spaceship, and off they take him to do all kinds of tests on him. I guess everything's going to be fine then, because we got no symbolic king. I guess he'll take his symbolic throne and his symbolic crown. No kings, no crowns, no something or other. I don't know. I don't even know what the hell they're protesting. You know what it reminds me of, to be quite frank? And again, the epistemological, the critical thinking, the crisis of this country. It reminds me of Obama. I didn't know. I thought Obama, he said all the right things. I thought he was great. He was Trump. Like Trump, Obama, same thing. A right wing Obama, a left wing Obama. Right? He looked good. He was smart. He sounded great. Hey, he's saying all the good things, right? But he was not going to do any of them. And what did he say? Hope and change. What does that mean? Nothing. It means no kings. It means the same thing. It's a hollow slogan. And what did we do then? We then projected everything we want into hope and change. He'd say, I'm hoping change. And we'd say, yes, I'm hoping for this kind of change. And I'm hoping for that kind of change. Great. Yeah, good job. There you go. That's what you should hope and change for. What about you over there? Well, I'm hoping for change of this way and that way. You got, there you go. A snake oil salesman. Whatever you hoped for and whatever change you hoped for, you projected it onto Obama. And it was a hollow slogan. It was no kings. It was a CIA op. One might say, well, that's what the CIA does. They say, hey, look, I'm not saying he was a CIA puppet. I ain't saying that he wasn't. I'm just saying that one of the things they like to do, and people who mislead people like to do, is give you a hollow slogan and allow you then to project what you like onto that slogan. And that's all hope and change was. So what does Trump come along? MAGA, make America great again. Every bit as hollow as hope and change. See, hope and change really was something that would be attractive to left-leaning, kind of more the lefties, right? They wanted hope and change and warmness and fuzziness. Ooh, this is so nice. And here's a guy, he's of mixed race. He's got a pretty family. He's got his wife, she works out. His kids, they look fairly cute. I looked at all of that and I'm like, yeah, that looks like things should look. You know what I mean? They did the old family values thing. Well, there's a man with his wife, and they were the Huxtables, kind of thing. And hey, that's, I guess, what people want. They want a wife and 2.5 kids in a minivan. So they put everything together looking beautiful. And then he just said, hope and change. Hope and change. And then we projected whatever hope and change we wanted onto Obama. And he did what the ruling elite brought him in to do. And in comes Trump. MAGA, make America great again, just as hollow. But there are people who look back. Well, I remember back when I was a young fellow, when you could get a job out of high school and make a good living and have 2.5 kids in a pickup truck, minivan, whatever you wanted. You could have fun. The wife didn't have to work. Well, I remember when America was great. Now, we got to ignore what America was doing around the world. But okay, fair enough. That's what I want to go back to back when America rampaged around the world, started wars, overthrew governments, murdered and assassinated leaders, and we got a pretty good life out of it. So now MAGA gets to do what the idiots like me did. They get to project onto Trump and the MAGA slogan. You know you're being screwed when there's a slogan. Hope and change. Make America great again. Whenever you get a slogan, no kings. You're being had. A slogan means you're being snookered. Means somebody sat down in the bowels of somewhere and said, the suckers ain't getting nothing, but what'll make them feel good? We want to give them a warm and fuzzy feeling. MAGA, make America great again. Hope and change. There we go. Let's go. I wonder what they're going to come up with next. No kings. Anyway, so Obama Part 2, Donald O'Trumpa comes in with open change, and we're going to bring peace. And we're going to be fiscally sound, and we're not going to drive the deficit through the roof. We got to stop the spending. We got to doge. We got to do all these things that you want. Project them onto me. You know the economy's crashing. I'm going to fix it. I'm going to cut spending. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. It's like Obama. And what did he do? He did what Obama did because that's what his masters tell him to do. Ultimately, maybe Americans will wake up on the 4th of July after the big false flag. If there is going to be one, I won't be surprised. And maybe Americans will go, I think we've been ahead. But I don't know. I don't have a lot of faith in Americans. They believe in this. You still got people running around thinking that Obama is some kind of was a great American. And you got people running around thinking that Trump is playing 3D chess and he's going to fix all of this. If he were playing 3D chess, he ain't moving the chess pieces. Even if he were playing any kind of chess, he ain't moving the pieces. Okay. But at any rate, in fact, he is one of the chess pieces. He's a rook. That's what I'm saying. He's a rook with a C. No, he's not really a crook. He's not really anything. He is an avatar. He is I've used this before, a pinata for you to get mad at. Now they're all out today hitting the pinata. Bam, we hate Trump. Wham, wham, hit that pinata. Ain't no candy in the pinata. Nothing's coming out, guys. Nothing's coming up. But anyway, so here we are. Here we sit on the 4th of July, 2026. And our country, great again. It is a recognition of that the unipolar moment is over. In itself, when you say make America great again, there's an implication. In fact, if you remember, the Democrats for a while tried to counter that by saying America's already great. Well, the truth is this. We kind of live here. You know what I mean? We kind of got to go to the grocery store, and like our kids some of them want to get married and have 2.5 kids in a minivan. Well, they can't buy a house with a picket fence, and they can't afford a minivan. The house is $500,000 with 90 million % interest, and the minivan costs $65,000 starting. So they can't afford either one of them. In fact, the minivan payment will be a house payment. So our kids don't get 2.5 kids in a minivan. Sorry about that. No luck. So we live that. So we know the reality about with Democrats. America's already great. We're like, well, if this is great, we'll take not so great. If it was not great a few years ago, can we go to not great if that's good, if that's all right? We live in a country where our kids now, I always bring this up, never forget this. Never forget this. What is the definition of debt? It is a claim on future earnings. That's what a debt is. Claim on future earnings. When we're 37 trillion in debt, and as a nation, and Donald Trump just put us another 5, so let's jump on up to $43 trillion in debt. That is a claim on future earnings. That'll never get paid. It's like giving me a debt of a trillion. Garland, you owe $1 trillion. Yeah, well, good luck collecting that. Garland, you owe $1 billion. Good luck connecting that. You know what I'm saying? Keep going down. Good luck collecting that. I'm just like the people that are watching here. I'm just another slump. You know what I mean? Just another guy, you know what I mean? I'm just another American who's trying to put gas in his pickup truck. I got a pickup truck. I'm proud of a pickup truck. Here I am. I'm a middle class guy. I can't afford a new pickup truck. Are you kidding me? I'd love the new pickup truck. I can't afford a pickup truck. Pickup truck is let me just as an example. I have a 2013 Ford pickup truck. It's really nice for 2013. It was a full dress pickup truck for 2013. When that truck was brand new in 2013, it was $63,000. Now it's like 25 or so, right? Used. But to buy that truck right now, which is a Lariat Ultra Edition diesel and all, if I were to buy that truck, which I couldn't even dream of, $95,000. $95,000. Well, first of all, I couldn't have bought it for 63 back then, but you get my point. $95,000. The days of buying pickup trucks are make America great again, but you can't afford a pickup truck, right? So here's my point. That's what somebody said, buy a used one. That's what I did. That's all, buy a used. Look, I appreciate that, David, but that's not I'll put it like that. That's not a recommendation. That's the only option is buying a used one. For most of us, buying a new car. The option is to buy a used car. Buying a new car ain't an option, right? But at any rate, I digress. The reality is we live in a country now where the people are impoverished, right? The people are, and it's not getting better. It's not improving. And the government's not even really promising it's going to get better anymore. They're now talking about their overseas adventures. And let's touch base on the overseas. Everything you turn on the news, it's all about the overseas adventures. It's all about the empire. The empires around the world. But the empire, now, while you can't afford a brand new pickup truck if you wanted one, back in my dad was a longshoreman. I always say this. My dad was a longshoreman. He wore a hard hat. He got up in the morning. He worked hard. Very proud of him. He went in the ice cold and worked on the docks, and he went in the heat, and he made a good living. And he bought a pickup truck every other year. Nice pickup truck, whatever kind he wanted. The longshoreman made a decent living. Who the hell can do that now? He had a third grade education. People could do that back then, right? Not happening. People forget it. You can't buy a new pickup truck any year. Forget that, right? So my point is now we sit in a situation where our government now, instead of saying, hey, Garland, we're going to try to make it so you can buy a new pickup truck every year, just like your dad. Imagine that. I'm poor. We're poorer than our fathers and grandfathers. We live worse than our parents as far as our ability to afford things, right? Okay. They don't talk about that. You know what they say? We've got to stop fill in the blank. Country X from doing this. We've got to stop country Y from doing that. Like I get something out of that. Now they've got Americans convinced that we get something out of this foreign policy. They don't even tell us we're good. They don't think you're going to live better. You'll make more money. You'll do this. They'll just say we can't let this country do that because they're a threat to Israel. I don't live in Israel. Why am I worried about what the threat to Israel? And it seems like a lie to me anyway when I look at it, because they ain't a threat to Israel. I'm supposed to believe that a country that hasn't attacked anybody in the last 300 years is going to attack Israel, and Israel can't go 300 seconds without attacking a country around it. Oh, by the way, with our money, with everything of our stuff, so Israel is us. So I look and I say, okay, so my country is nothing but a warmongering war machine that goes around the world and doesn't give a shit about me and doesn't give a crap about the rest of the people that are so-called voting for hope and change or make America great again or no kings or some other worthless slogan that's going to do nothing for us but keep our minds occupied while they stick us for every dime that we have, while they pass bills that says if you get health care or something because you're impoverished, you ain't gonna get it anymore. But we do have to make sure that we add another $150 billion to the defense budget, the war budget, and we got to make sure that the tax cuts for the rich are made permanent. You know, this bill, might I add, the big beautiful bill. Hey, guess what? They're not going to tax tips. They're not going to tax overtime, and they're not going to tax Social Security. Oh, that sounds great. And the rich people get some additional tax breaks, and the rich people's taxes and that were in the original Trump bill, they get made permanent. But there's only one problem. The taxes for the rich people are permanent, right? Taxes for the rich people are permanent. The break on, The break on overtime, tips, and what's the other one? Social Security. They only last till 28 when Trump goes out of office. So permanent taxes for the rich, cuts for the rich. Trump's 2017 tax cuts for the rich. If you remember, George W. Bush's tax cuts for the rich in 2003, massive tax cuts for the rich, were supposed to expire in 2013. That's when we had a so-called fiscal cliff. All Barack Obama had to do was not sign them, and they would have disappeared. He made them permanent. Donald W. Trump, or whatever, Donald J. Trump, his tax cuts for the rich in 2017, and the corporations, which, did so much to help the economy, right? They were scheduled to die this year. And guess what happened? At the end of 2026. And guess what happened? Trump's going to make them permanent, just like Obama. Make America great again. Open change. But Donald Trump is helping us out because we're going to no taxes on, not no, but lower taxes on Social Security. They're playing some games with increasing the tax credits and stuff like that for people that have Social Security instead of no tax on Social Security. And they're going to no tax on overtime and tip. That sounds great, but they ain't permanent. They're only till 2028, and you know they ain't going to be made permanent in 2028. They're going to say we can't afford them. Sorry, we got to add another $150 billion to the Pentagon budget. So they're going to give us a temporary reprieve, which will make it bad for a lot of people. Think about this. You are working all of this overtime, and you are getting all of these tips, and you get accustomed for 3 years, 3 years, whatever. You get accustomed to not getting taxes on them. And all of a sudden in 2028. And so you're living with that extra money. Then all of a sudden on 2028, they start taxing them again. And you're used to that and you're not. It's going to screw people. But oh well, they don't give a crap because they ain't working for you. They're working for the machine. And the machine is an imperial machine. Now let's talk about Israel. What has happened recently with Israel? The US, the imperial machine. We go around the world, as Thomas Friedman said, you can't have McDonald's without McDonnell Douglas. Well, first of all, if you eat a McDonald's, it'll kill you. If you get bombed by a McDonnell Douglas, it'll kill you. Both of them are killing machines. They just kill. One of them is fast food and slow death. The other one just drops bombs on you and kills you instantly. Right, particularly if you've got oil or lithium or something that we want. In comes the McDonnell Douglas, and then after we bomb you and kill up the rest of the people, we overthrow your government. We put in some schlump to continue to funnel your resources out to us. And by the way, we start building McDonald's, and we kill you slowly because you were probably eating like all kinds of healthy spices and stuff in your natural. In your natural diet that the people have been eating for 1,000 years. You probably got great stuff you're eating. And you're probably healthy. And we're going to bring a McDonald's, KFC, and kill you dead. You'll now die of a heart attack and everything else at the age of 41. Because guess what? You get Coca-Cola, fries, and a burger, overpriced. So anyway, and of course, no health care. So you get to die quickly. But now that you're going to have you're going to have high blood pressure and diabetes, we get to come in and bring in big pharma and sell you a solution for that. We got all kinds of pills you can take. Wait a minute, you're taking those pills and they're giving you restless foot syndrome? Don't worry about that. We got pills for restless foot syndrome. Oh, wait a minute, that's making you unable to sleep. We got pills that'll make you sleep. By the time we finish, we got 10 pills for you to take. One and 9 of them are correct problems that you got from the first. So Israel now got a little bit of a wake-up call. So Israel attacks everybody around them. We got to kill the Palestinians. Certainly that's genocide. Because look, if you are a, if you're a Christian Zionist, right? You got to support Israel, Christian Zionist. Why do you have to support Israel? Because then Israel will be reborn, and then the Jews will all come to Israel, and then after the genocide happens, and they can get genocide everybody around them, murder, slaughter men, women, and children, bomb them, tear them to pieces. And then comes the Prince of Peace. Yes, after the genocide, the Prince of Peace will return. And you know what he's going to do? He'll genocide the Jews. He'll say to the Jews, hey, Jews, you guys want to be Christians? Not really, we're Jews. Okay, you're all dead. Bleh. Boy, that's a great idea, isn't it? Isn't that wonderful? What a great religious belief. That's really something that makes me feel like I must be out of my mind if I believe that. And I'm not out of my mind. I'm going to believe that the Jews are genociding people, and I got to support that so the Prince of Peace can return. It doesn't even align with the Jewish faith. They're mad at a bunch of Jews who are running around saying, well, according to the Torah, as I read it, it actually says Israel's not supposed to be formed until the Messiah returns. What about that? You know what they say about that? They grab those people in Israel and they beat the hell out of them and they lock them up. That's what they say about that. So the bottom line is, Israel's going around the area. Israel, the United States proxy, Israel's going around the area, beating the hell out of people, bombing them, slaughtering them. And the U.S. finally says, okay, Israel, now we're going for the big cheese. Have a little trouble with Russia. Yeah. Not happy with the things are going. We were planning on destroying Russia, but that didn't work out so well. So here's what we'll do. We'll come in their back door. Why don't we do this? Why don't we go over here and we'll do this really weird operation in Iran? And you know how our operations always work. We go in, we do a decapitation strike, we do a bunch of terrorism, we blow things up, we kill people, we destabilize it, and then the government falls. Now, okay, fair enough, that never works. Every single one time doesn't work. But trust me when I tell you, this time it'll work. So Israel goes in, they blow up, they do this, they do that. Iran's been around for 3,000 years. I think they can take a punch. I always say this when it comes to fighting. A trained fighter has to learn how to fight through pain. That's why you'll find if you go to any dojo, people are sparring and people are getting hurt, ow, ooh, each, ow, you pulled too hard, ow, you twisted too hard, ow, stop that, ooh, big bad, whap. They're beating the hell out of each other. You got to learn to fight through pain. If you're going to be trained to fight, which is to protect yourself, self-defense, you must learn to fight through pain. If you get injured in a fight, the other person ain't gonna stop trying to kill you. So you got to fight through that pain. It has to be internally here. Right? So the Iranians been around for 3,000 years, 2,000, I don't know. I'll put it like this, longer than 77 years. Okay, Israel, longer than 70 some. You got in a good swipe and they shook it off a little bit and came back and they started nailing you. Boom, 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 boom. And something that was kind of revealed in Ukraine, and that was, and this is important, I think. In Ukraine, they gave Ukraine stuff, but not necessarily their best stuff, but they gave them stuff. Hey, we got an M777, we got Bradleys, we got this, that, whatever. We'll give it to Ukraine. But we did find out a lot of the stuff they gave them in Ukraine was old stuff in warehouses that wasn't half working, that they wanted to, we got to get rid of stuff so we can build more. They gave them a lot of crap. You had a lot of countries say, here, you can have some F-16s. 50 years old, fair enough. But that's not important. They're F-16s. And they gave them some old F-16s that they couldn't get off the friggin' ground. So they got a lot of trash, right? And some new stuff, but whatever they gave them, the Russians blew up. So things weren't going so well. Israel gets the best of everything, the best air defenses with all kind of biblical names. David's sling, why little old David is up against Goliath, and we've got his slingshot. And think of the metaphor there. Think of the symbolism. David's sling, that's oddly enough, instead of it was an offensive weapon, but that's supposed to be an air defense system. And we've got all of these, the arrow and blah, blah, blah. All right, boy, we'll show those Iranians. Not so much. The Iranians started firing their older missiles and their newer missiles, and their older missiles got through, and their newer missiles got through, and their drones got through, and all things. And what people fail to take into account, that I've said many times before, is Israel fired the missiles. And in the Persian Gulf, there was U.S. and British and Italian and French shooting at the missiles, but they kept going. And they got over Iraq, and there was U.S. bases shooting at the missiles, but they kept going. And they gave the Red Sea, and there was U.S. and all these blah, blah, blah. They kept going. And they flew over Lebanon, whatever the hell, Iraq, and they went through minimum of four different air defense zones. And they still got through and battered the hell out of Israel. It doesn't speak well for Western air defense. I'm just saying, doesn't speak well for them. So they battered the bloody hell out of Israel. And 12 days later, Israel was like, we won. Please stop. We won. We win. Please stop. And what we see now is something very interesting. And I'll say this to the Mearsheimers and the no, we've got to save the missiles for China crew. What we saw in Ukraine, right, militarily, was NATO, the US, and everything the West had, they threw into Ukraine to defeat Russia, and Russia's smashed the hell out of it. We saw the Israelis attack the Iranians with everything they have. And let's face it, they used a terrorist attack on Iran to begin with. And as Peter Erickson always brought to my attention, of Peter Erickson from Conversation Among the Ruins, what we see is when it comes to terrorism, the weak party is always going to use terrorism. The weak party uses terrorism. The strong party has no reason to use terrorism. They don't use asymmetric. They just come out and punch you right in the face. The weak party's got to use a sneak attack. Israel already kind of had a pretty good idea. The U.S. empire had an idea that Israel was weak. So they threw Israel at Iran. And they were like, hey, we're going to do this thing and Iran will just fall apart. Iran shook it off, came back, started throwing missiles and started battering them. And Israel talks a lot of trash, but they got stumped. They got their nose snubbed pretty good. So now we've got something for all of these Save the Missiles for China people. The U.S. is generations behind its so-called adversaries, particularly in air defense. I'll put it to you like this. When it comes to air defense, what's happening? People are like, well, all Iran has to do is get the Russian air defense. Who knows? Maybe they'll get some Chinese air defense, stuff like that. Maybe they'll, who knows what they'll get, but they have an opportunity to improve their air defense. And I'll say this, people are saying Israel's going back after them. They won't have the element of surprise this time. But at any rate, so Israel can't really improve its air defense because it has anywhere from 2 to 12 and $15 million missiles in the THAAD system, 2 million maybe for the Patriot system. So this stuff is overpriced. The parts are overpriced. The missiles are overpriced. The military industrial capability to create the missiles is underwhelming, to say the least. It is not really able to produce the numbers of missiles that need to be produced. And the effectiveness of the missiles was questionable, to say the least. So how do those missiles get through 4 different air defense zones and still slap the hell out of Israel? They're supposed to be shot down by the time they get to the 3rd one. But obviously the U.S. air defense system was not very good. It wasn't just Israel's air defense system. There was 4 different air defense zones minimum that these missiles had to pass through to get to Israel, and they got to Israel. Imagine right now if Israel only had David saying none of the missiles would have been shot down. Way more worse. So NATO, one of the things they said is how many missiles Israel used. Okay, Israel used X amount of missiles, but how many missiles did the U.S. use in their ships, in their bases in Iraq, in their bases in Syria, in their ships in the Red Sea, their ships in the Persian Gulf? How many missiles did they use in all of these ships shooting at the missiles before they even got to Israel? And then Israel fired all of these missiles. The truth is, we're in a world of hurt. Now, for all of the Save the Missiles for China, we lost to the Houthis. They ran us the hell out. Our air defense system was ineffective, completely ineffective, in my opinion, against Israel, and against Iran. And my evidence is they got to hide the damage in Israel because it's been smacked and beaten so bad. And my evaluation of the completion and the end of this thing is that my understanding is that Israel was the one calling for the ceasefire, the U.S. and Israel, because not just Israel, but the U.S. and Israel. So I'll put it like this. I think the U.S. was screaming for a ceasefire, and they're like Israel. And let me give you an example. At one point this was some years ago, but there was a person who I knew who had some financial problems, went through a divorce, had a couple little teeny kids, and stayed at my house for a while until they got on their feet together. The lady with a couple of kids was allowed to stay here because they didn't really have a place to stay. And so fine, I took care of them for a while. And they had the 2 little kids. One of them could talk and one of them wasn't. This was years ago. One of them could talk and one of them couldn't, because they were little. And the one, they were playing in the back room, and they came in, holding hands. And one of them says to me, Mr. Garland, yes. And the other little sister, I'll just make up a name, Mary and Jane. Mr. Garland, and the little one's just looking because she can't talk yet. Yeah. Jane wants a cookie. Now, Jane, when the little one can't talk, the little one's just sitting there going, hands on her mouth. Okay, Jane wants a cookie. And I'm like, Jane wants a cookie, but Jane can't talk yet. Jane wants a cookie. I'm like, okay. I take a cookie out. I give the little one a cookie. She starts grinning and nibbling on a cookie. She says, Mr. Garland. I said, yeah. Can I have a cookie too? Oh, you want a cookie too? You get a cookie too. So it was, in other words, the bigger one wanted a cookie, and she came in and said the little one was, Jane wants a cookie. Not I want a cookie. Jane wants a cookie. Bottom line, that's the way I view the U.S. The U.S. was like, holy crap. Ooh, our proxies getting smushed to turn to rubble, and we got to pay to rebuild everything in Israel. We all know that. But Israel's getting pummeled, and we got to pay. Number one. Number two, holy crap, our ships, our bases, and our proxy Israel, they're firing anti-aircraft and air defense missiles so quickly we'll be out in 30 days. We won't have a single one in 30 days, and we'll be naked, and they'll turn us into rubble, and we won't be able to do anything anywhere in the world. Our whole empire we brought to a halt, and we can't make them fast enough. We're screwed. So the bottom line is, in my opinion, the U.S. empire went, oh crap, how are we going to stop this? Israel wants a ceasefire. Israel wants a ceasefire. Yeah, Israel wants a ceasefire. Not us. No, it's Israel. They come, Iran. Well, Israel, everybody wants a ceasefire. And when Iran said, we told you all along that if you stop shooting at us, we'd stop shooting at you. So stop shooting at us. And that was kind of worked out. And then they did a little, can we fake a bombing to you? Yeah, you can fake bomb us, but you got to let us fake bomb you. All right, fair enough. We'll fake bomb you, you fake bomb us, and we'll all go on about our business. Fair enough. And at that point, the jig is up. The game is over. The U.S. empire lost to Iran and tapped out. Hey, it's like, again, somebody's got to do that. Okay, let go. That's what the U.S. did. Ouch, 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 ouch. Let go, let go, let go. And Iran said, okay, I'll let go. But it demonstrated something. Weakness. It demonstrated an inability to protect itself from modern missiles. And a lot of missiles used by Iran were old missiles. You mess around with Russia or China, they ain't using old missiles. Oreshnik, Iskander, these are real missiles. And might I add, how's that going to work against the modern day anti-shipping missiles? You're screwed. So the U.S. is incapable of defending itself from modern missiles. Incapable. This is Iran. Iran has shown, I put it like this, Iran has shown that it is technically capable. Iran has shown that you can't underestimate these people. People forget. Like, these Iranians are winning. Did you know they have these like engineering and math tests math, for like high school kids and stuff in every year all around the world. China has them, all these math and engineering, and like all of these Iranian kids always win these damn things, and they're always up near the top. These kids are, again, we didn't think people are stupid. These people invented chess. These are highly technical people, brilliant scientists. And they've lapped us. They've passed us. We cannot defend ourselves from the old Iranian missiles. And every now and then, you saw the videos, a hypersonic missile comes in, whoop, boom. Well, holy crap. Don't even think about defending yourself from that hypersonic missile, which we have. How many hypersonic missiles in the U.S.? None. We can't defend ourselves from old school missiles. They could probably take a freaking catapult and throw boulders at us like the Roman army, and some of them would probably get through. I mean, it's pathetic where we are right now. So here's my point. Save the missiles for China people. No. Why are we all doing that? We have to contain China. Why would we even mouth the words when we can't contain the Houthis? We can't contain the Houthis. We got to get out of there. Why? So we can go fight China. The Houthis are kicking ass. What about Iran? You kidding me? They got hypersonic missiles. They're beating the crap out of us. They're using up all of our missiles. They're blowing up our stuff. We got to get out of there. They might close the Straits of Hormuz. We can't stand up against Iran. They'll destroy our economy. They'll wipe out the oil. They'll sink our ships. They'll flatten our bases. We got to get the hell out of here. Iran's going to tear us up. What are you going to do? We got to go confront and contain China. Contain China. How's our economy looking right now? Well, 36, 37 trillion in debt. Our economy is on a razor's edge. And I've said this in many shows. Donald Trump damn good and well knows that if they close the Straits of Hormuz, it's not just the damage that that would do. Yes, it would do damage. It would do plenty of damage. It would do massive damage. The issue is our economy is unstable and it's fragile and it couldn't take a hit. The problem is that if they close the Straits of Hormuz and gas goes up to, let's say, $10 a gallon, $8 a gallon, and it hits our economy, and we're like, okay, but, uncle, we're sorry. And they open it back up. Too late. If our economy took a hit, it's so fragile right now. Once that downslide started, there'd be no way to get out of it. Once that tailspin started, our economy is not strong enough. It's not healthy enough to pull itself out of it. People are already on the edge. People are already like, why can't I afford a pickup truck? I used to be able to buy a pickup truck. My dad bought a pickup truck, but I can't buy it. People are already like, their economy's screwed. I got 2 kids. They got out of college and both of them owe $1,000 a month for student loans and they're working at Pizza Hut because they can't get a better job. People are asking themselves those kinds of questions. Why am I working at Pizza Hut? Because I can't get a better job. They're asking themselves those kind of questions. And then Pizza Hut closes down and lays them off because you know what happens then? People start throwing in the towel. Well, I'm losing my house. Well, I can't pay this, I can't pay that, and the crash begins. And what they know, my dear and fluffy friends, is the way our economy is, if the crash starts, there ain't going to be no way to stop it. That was the big fear. And meanwhile, they're like, we're going to stand up to China. We've got to, quote, contain China. Well, we lost that. Let me add this, one other thing. Oh, we've got to build missiles. We've got to have the industrial capacity to build missiles and bombs and ships and planes and all these things to confront China, right? And China just got back. Well, they had completely cut out on our rare earth minerals. My understanding is China's doing rare earths for ships and stuff like that. Let me look. What's the latest if I can find anything? Oh, isn't that something? So we were trying to do, so you'll show, we were trying to do all of these things to contain China. In other words, stop selling them chips, software, this stuff and all. Look at this. Oh, U.S. lifts chip design software export ban to China after rare earths deal. Abruptly reverse course on the key technology restriction, lifting export controls on chip design software to China. Let me see. The timing aligns with the rare earths agreement. And my understanding is China still hasn't gone all out saying you can have all the rare earths you want for military. We're still struggling. So the bottom line is we're running out of stuff militarily, and we don't have the rare earths things that we need to build more, which of course, if I'm China, I wouldn't say a damn thing rare earths. If I was China, I would say, no, I can't tell you anything, none. And if Trump said, well, yeah, but we're going to crash and our economy will crash, I'd be like, if I'm China, I'm like, aren't you the one saying you're trying to contain me? So let me see. If you were selling me something right now and not selling it would crash my economy, you sure as hell wouldn't sell it because you want to wreck my economy. Well, what do you think I'm going to do? You're going to build missiles to bomb me with, and you think I'm going to sell you the things you need? What next? Am I going to sell you a rope to hang me with? I don't think so. Have a nice day. But things are going on here. But so it is what it is. But I don't think that China has fully gone back to selling the rare earths to the military industrial complex, but we shall see. But my point is this, and that is our economy's in deep and serious trouble, and Trump just added another 5 trillion with the usual crap. Do you love this? Make America great again. Why? Well, every single time we do these giant tax cuts for the rich and we add a massive amount of deficit, of money to the deficit, what they say is this: sure, it adds a lot to the deficit, but it's going to grow the economy so much that it'll more than cover that. And of course, it doesn't. Every single time. And what did Trump and his people just say? Yes, fair enough, we're adding 5 trillion to the deficit, but it's going to grow the economy so much that it'll overcome the 5 trillion by 4, 5, 10 times the amount. Every single time they say that, and never a single time doesn't, because they don't care if it does or not, because they're just extracting money from the poor and the working class to put in their filthy rich pockets, because that's what they do. And they got a certain number of people in the country who buy into it, who somehow think the government's going to take actions on their behalf. People are like, yeah, I don't trust the government. The government's out to screw me. Yeah, I would agree with you on that. But these tax cuts are good because the government's going to use tax cuts to try to make things better for me. See, that maybe a little incongruence in those two thoughts. You're anti-government, but you think the government's passing a bunch of tax cuts, which mostly go to the rich, and added $150 billion to the deficit, to the Pentagon budget, and $5 trillion to the deficit, and you think that this is a big, beautiful bill to help you, but you don't trust the government. Do you possibly see perhaps these things don't match? You know, like the old thing for kids, the little puzzles. Which one of these things don't go together? I don't trust the government. I know the government's out to screw me. The government's giving all of this money to the rich people. They're doing it to help me. Which one of these don't match? Anyway, but whatever, you know, look, make America great again. Hope and change. 5 years later, you'll look back and I think we've been had. No. Yeah, there we go. Think about that. I love this. Somebody just made a perfect point. Anthony made a perfect point. I love it. BBB, big beautiful bill, build back better. Isn't that great? They discovered that this works for the suckers. Reverse Robin. Exactly. The bottom line. They use the same acronyms. Isn't it great? Hey, I'm coming in. What are we going to do? Build back better. Nothing's been built. Nothing's come back, and damn sure nothing's better. Big beautiful bill. Well, it's big. And it's a bill. I'll give you 2 out of 3. Beautiful is in the eyes of the beholder. I guess if you're a billionaire or you're Jeff Bezos or somebody, you're maybe Palantir, you think it's beautiful. If you're the schmucks like us, that Palantir is going to be hacking our phones and reading all of our stuff and punishing us if we go to a protest or say something that they don't like about Israel or Zionism, you might not think it's so beautiful, right? But bottom line is, what we're looking at is economic and political deterioration. They got nothing but lies, and the amount of suckers that are believing the lies are decreasing until they're going to run out of suckers. You know, as P.T. Barnum said, it's a crime against God nature to allow a sucker to keep his money. But the number of people that are suckers that are still running around here saying Trump is playing some kind of game to bring peace to the world. And Trump's playing, he's got his big, beautiful bill. Yeah, it's $5 trillion in deficit, another $150 billion for the Pentagon. But he's doing it to bring peace. He's giving the Pentagon another $150 billion because that's the way he's going to, with his secret plan, he's going to work peace. Those people need to learn to don't get mad at him. At some point, they'll go, I think I've been had. And we'll go, interesting. Perhaps. What makes you think that? You know, we can guide them along. We can use the Socratic method. We can question the questions. Gee, you think you've been had? What makes you think that? Well, another president came in and he promised peace, and instead we got war. Another president? Yeah. That implies that somebody did that before. And the person will say, come to think of it, every president's did that, haven't they? And you'll be like, have they? And they'll say, yeah. And then you'll say, what do you think that means? And they'll say, I think they were all lying to us. And you say, oh, wow, I never thought of that. You know, you make them think that they came up with a new, fresh idea that you would never consider. And then you walk away and you just go, and they ask me why I drink, right? That's what you say when you walk away, but you don't let them hear you say that. You make them think they've really discovered something new and they just thought this out and figured this out. They finally came to the conclusion that the government is lying to them, that it's extracting their money, that it's putting it in the hands of the billionaires, that it's going around starting wars all over the world so it can steal stuff, and you ain't even going to get a piece of that. Let me say this. Meanwhile, so militarily, we got pretty much no air defense, and we have no military industrial complex whatsoever. So it's a joke. Our stuff is old. It looks like something we're stuck in the 1980s militarily. So that is what it is. Morally, the United States the government of the United States was negotiating with someone, and they used the negotiations so that they could temporarily blind their adversary and attack them while they weren't looking. Morally speaking, what the hell kind of country does that? Number one. And might I add, I got to go online and I got to see American bombs dropping on tents. I got to go online and I got to see where a bunch of people who, might I add, we locked a bunch of people in the city and we won't allow food and water in there. And the Israelis / Americans then put out food and water and say, hey, starving people. Yeah, look right over there. There's food and water. Wouldn't you like to go get some? And the starving people say, yes, I really would. And the Israelis say, help yourself. We got you covered. The last I heard, 400 people and growing had been killed as a result of that. They set the food up. The people trundle on over to get the food, and they open up on unarmed, starving, sick civilians, unhealthy, starving men, women, and children, and they open up on them with machine guns. And recently, an Israeli soldier has come out and admitted, yeah, I was ordered to do that. I mean, it wasn't an accident. Okay, here's what we're going to do. There's the food. When the starving, hungry people come to the food, open up and kill them as many as you can and wound the rest. I think we got a moral issue here. I think anybody who says I'll vote for these people or support these lunatics that run this country has got to be out of their mind. Moral collapse. They're lying criminals, genocidal murderers. So if you had any thoughts about what the Nazi regime was like, well, for starters, we got our own in Ukraine, literal Nazis. Goose stepping the Sieg Highland, Hitler tattoo covered Nazis. You guys are supporting them. The liberals just love them. The no kings. I bet. But what about no Nazis? For some reason, no kings. How about no Nazis? We kind of like Nazis. Remember the punch a Nazi? Remember these liberals out here? Oh, punch a Nazi. I hate Nazis. We are going to stand up against the Nazis. Okay, Ukraine's full of Nazis. Well, you know, not all Nazis are bad. They may be Nazis, but there are Nazis. Completely discredited liberaldom that is nothing but, okay, yes, we love the people of color and the LGBTQ and all of these. We love all of these people and they're great and they're wonderful. How do you feel about Nazis? Oh, we love them. Aren't they white supremacists? No, they're not white supremacists. They're good people fighting Putin. How about genocide? Oh, genocide's great. That's all we do, man. Genocide? Oh, come on. We got to stand up for the LGBTQ and the people of color and the indigenous and all of this stuff. Rhetorically and symbolically, we got to stand up for them. In reality, we're going to bomb the hell out of them and steal all the stuff out of their countries. The liberal America is a joke. And now, to hurt the feelings of the liberals, one last time, as they're morally collapsed, as our economy's gone shot to hell, which is nothing but a neoliberal piece of crap. And of course, now we're like, let me add this. I'm going to hurt their feelings one last time, but let me say this. And now Ukraine, we're going to arm Ukraine and throw them at the Russians. So we arm Ukraine and throw them at the Russians. And then we keep saying, oh, no, we're fair enough. We're arming Ukraine. We pay for everything. We pay all their bills. We pay all their salaries. But they're an independent and sovereign nation. An independent and sovereign nation. And we buy the very uniforms we buy the soldiers, we buy the uniforms they're in, we buy the guns that they shoot, we buy the bullets that go in the guns, we buy the food that they eat, we buy the tanks, we buy the military equipment. There's nothing that the soldiers have that we don't pay for. We train them, we help them fire the stuff, we tell them where to shoot. Hey, here's the coordinates, fire here. But it's an independent and sovereign nation. What about the street sweepers? We pay for it. The cops in Ukraine, we pay for it. How about Zelensky and the politicians? They have a salary. Who pays it? We pay for it. But it's an independent and sovereign nation. How stupid do you have to be to believe that? And now it's like, yes, Ukraine, we got you. We're standing up for you as long as it takes. And we look at it the other day and it's like, hey, what's going on? The Russians are beating the hell out of them. They're going to lose. Well, guess that's as long as it takes. Hey, Ukraine, yeah. Remember that business about as long as it takes? Yeah. Well, forget it. Slam. See ya. Now, we should have never done any of that, but now the Ukrainians, they are left to their own devices. And after they've attacked the Russians, they've attacked Russian people, they've killed Russian civilians, they've murdered whole Russian towns in the Kursk region. I don't suspect the Russians are going to be real merciful on the Ukrainian army. I'm just saying it ain't going to be a pretty sight. They're going to knock the hell out of them, and they're probably going to take most of Ukraine. That game is over. And Trump calls Putin, hey, fair enough. We armed a country and we try to overthrow your government and steal all your stuff and probably, genocide your people. Fair enough. But now we've lost the war. Can you give us a break? No. That's Putin's answer. Yet. You know what Putin should have said when Macron called? And Macron was like, yes, I guess we lost the war, but look, we'd like you to give us everything we're asking for. Could you give us a 30-day ceasefire, 60-day, 80, 90, whatever? And Putin should have said, oh, what you want is a 60-day ceasefire? Yes, sure, no problem. And when Macron said, really? He should have said, yeah, hell no, get out of here. Slam. Just, pull it out and say, yeah, of course we can. Why? What took you so long to ask? Great. You really mean that? No, I don't mean that. Shut up. Whack. I would have loved to see Putin do that, but he didn't, but that's okay. So much for Ukraine. Israel, it's a pile of rubble. And as I've said before, the Israelis are now, rather than the Samsonite option, they're packing their crap and they're going back to Brooklyn. No sleep till Brooklyn. Is it what the Beastie Boys said? Well, that is now. They probably have signs at the airports and the seaports in Israel. No sleep till Brooklyn. They're all Beastie Boys fans now. They're getting out of there. Hey, will the last guy who leaves Tel Aviv put the flag down and turn the lights out? We are going home. So now it really is nothing but a war machine. It is a worthless, wasted, rubbleized war machine. Is it going to attack Iran again? Hey, they're going to attack Iran before. Let me just say this. After what Iran did in the first 12 days, if they attack Iran, they better not plan for longer than 12 days or there ain't going to be much of Israel left. And I don't think Iran is going to be kind. Anyway, so I'll say the last by ending up. So meanwhile, some guy named Zoran Mamdani or something wins in New York. Let me comment on Zoran Mamdani because of however I don't know how it's pronounced. There's a good thing here. And the good thing is somebody ran and said, hey, I'm not down with Zionism, and they won. Okay, that's, I guess, a win in a way, whatever. Who knows? I don't know. Symbolically, again, symbolic wins ain't going to do a damn thing for the Palestinians who are being starved and having bombs dropped on them. But this is my opinion, like it or not. He's DSA, Democratic Socialists of America. Just like Bernie and just like AOC. If you like Bernie and AOC, you'll love Zoran Mamdani. These are people. Here's what I've said about the left in America. Here's what I have to say about the left in America. The fake so-called left in America, the imperialist left in America, the warmongering assistance for the system left in America, not like the left in America, like the me's in America, or there's left in America who have had enough of this crap and we don't go along with the system. But this guy's DSA, Democratic Socialists for America, and all you need to do is look at AOC and see what you got. They sound good when they're running. They say great things. Think about Bernie. Sound wonderful things. So we've got to do this, and Netanyahu, screw him, and blah, 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 blah. What happens when the massacre and genocide started? Oh, we can't have what did he say? A ceasefire only helps Hamas. It only helps Hamas? Well, wait a minute, but they're committing genocide. So when it comes down to it, which one, Bernie or AOC, which one of them is standing up trying to stop the genocide that's been going on for 2.5 years now? Neither one of them. Which one of them is pushing back against U.S. imperialism, U.S. militarism? They're standing there, yes, we've got to do more to help these plucky little Nazis in Ukraine. We've got to stand with Israel. Israel is our friend. This guy Zoran Mamdani, as they say, he knows the music, but he don't know the words. Or the other way around. He knows the words, but he don't know the music. The bottom line is this, in my opinion. He's just another Democratic Socialist for America candidate. Will say all the right things, and he's perfect. You know what's perfect about this guy? And that is he freaks out the Trump people. It's perfect to keep the idiots fighting each other, to keep the morons beating each other over the head. He hasn't even won yet. He hasn't won a damn thing. And yet the Trump people, he ain't won a damn thing. Tell me, all Trump people that are so scared. How's Bernie and AOC? They're symbolic. They're symbolic socialists. You're afraid of the symbolic social. They're your biggest friend. What they do is they sheepdog people into the Democratic Party because they give them hope that there'll be change. They give them hope so they can go, you know, if Mom Donnie now, maybe this system somehow, and the Democrats, and maybe they can be changed. Maybe something, maybe we can fix this from the inside out. Why, we'll just vote in people like Zoran Mamdani, and then all will be well. And all he has to say is, I'm against genocide. Well, you know, that's kind of a low bar. Would you say, people are like, well, he's against genocide. I'm like, you're supposed to be against genocide. I'm not going to give you a prize. It's like, hey, how's it going? Which candidate you are? Well, I've looked around and I found one. He's a piece of crap, but at least he's against genocide. You're not supposed to support a person that's for genocide. So the fact that you're pretending because he's against genocide, that makes him some kind of a great hero, it just makes him a person, a human being. He's supposed to be. And I don't trust him. His wife apparently is a Syrian artist. And my understanding is she was very much anti-Assad, which that's the CIA. So she's out here pushing the white helmet CIA rhetoric against Assad. I'm very, very, very wary of people when their history was, for one reason or another, pushing the, you know, it's like this thing, some guy comes in and they're like, what do you do? Well, he escaped from North Korea and he's an anti-North Korean person. I know that he's funded by the CIA. Well, he left Russia and came here and he hates Russia. He's funded by the CIA. Oh, former Iranian so-and-so who's come here and he is pissed at the move. He's funded by the CIA. So when you got that's Joe Blow, the Syrian activist, really, when they were been acting against Assad, and now they think that Jelani's great, but he's a ISIS terrorist. Yeah, but at least he ain't Assad. They're funded by the CIA. I don't trust her. Don't trust her. Don't trust him. Who knows? It's possible that I could be proven wrong. But when I look at a picture of him, and I see that liberal blue and yellow color of Ukraine that is on everything liberal in America. Everything liberal in America is blue and yellow, the color of Ukrainian propaganda. And this guy has, even in his Twitter, let me see, Mondani. Let me see if I can find a picture of him. There you go. Right, look at this. Look at this. So here we got Mamdani. Look at the colors. Blue and yellow, that Ukrainian crap, right? Let's see. All over this guy is, you'll see, this blue and yellow. Look at that. Blue yellow. Everywhere you look around this guy, there's the blue and yellow. Boom, look at this, blue and yellow. So everything for this guy is Ukrainian colors. I don't hear him say anything about, so I'm just saying, I don't trust him as far as I can throw his blue and yellow signs. And if somebody else would say, yes, Obama model 3.0, exactly. Think about it. He's perfect for the liberals. They're standing up for the, I don't know, he's a person of color. He's a something or other. Maybe he's a psyop. I don't know. Maybe he's a good. I don't know. We will see. But he really works well to freak the Republicans out too. He's really good at that, and that's part of the game. You've got to put somebody out there, and the Republicans look at him and they can't see through psyops as far as nothing. They just go, oh no, Muslim, socialist. Think about that. Muslim and socialist. If you really wanted to freak the Trumpers out, what would you use? Muslim, socialist. You got them. Their hair will be on fire and they'll go nuts. You let me join that. You let me join. You come to me, CIA, Garland. Here's what we're going to do. We want you to come up with a plan to freak out the Republicans completely, and we need, a foundation here. I'd be like, well, you can start with a Muslim and make them a socialist, and boom, these people go berserk. They'll never see through it. They'll never think it's a psyop. Ever. They'll trust that this is really the truth and blah blah blah. So we shall see. And I'm like, okay. So the bottom line is this: I don't trust that crap. I don't trust it as far as I can trust the no kings. No kings. Oh my! Got the love. We got to finish with the no kings. That's what we got to do. Where are we? If you want it now, if you want to find out all about the new no kings and you want to know who's behind it, who's charging it, here we just contact these two people. The spokespeople available: Leah Greenberg and Ezra Levin. Yes, two arch Zionists. Leah Greenberg and Ezra Levin. Old Leah Greenberg, who used to work with the State Department. Ezra Levin, he was one of the people with Obama people, and Ezra Levin ran a what was it? It was a nonprofit that was funded by BlackRock. Those are the people. Maybe you could check Lissa Gilbert and Robert Weissman. Yes, sirree. There you go. So the bottom line is, this thing is arch Zionist from top to bottom. These are the spokespeople, arch Zionists from top to bottom, no kings, hands off NATO. And you notice they say nothing about the genocide, nothing about the Middle East, nothing about anything. No kings. Check with Robert Weissman and Leah Greenberg and look them up. Ezra Levin, look them up. Look them up. They're working with, I wonder if any of those NGOs they work for were funded by USAID or the National Endowment for Democracy. You think maybe when Leah Greenberg was working for the State Department, she might have been up to no good around the world? But certainly not here. I would be willing to bet that this is not the first, shall we say, regime change protest operation that they've been involved in this world. I'm just throwing it out there. I bet it ain't. This is the game. This is the game. And I guess somebody's going to say, well, Garland, that's I don't know what, anti-Semitic? I didn't choose their names. I didn't say Leah Greenberg and Ezra Levin because they sound like Jewish names. Those are their names. Is it what I'm not supposed to say? Robert Weissman and Lisa Gilbert. I'm not supposed to say their names. What am I supposed to say? There are some people involved in this who, I would say their names, but they sound kind of Jewish. So if I actually say their name, so what? If their name was Tyrone Jefferson, hey, some brother named Tyrone Jefferson, I'd say, hey, Tyrone Jefferson's in charge. Hey, Garland, you're a racist. You said Tyrone Jefferson. Yeah, Tyrone Jefferson's probably a brother, but his mother named them. Don't ask me. Don't hate me because of Tyrone Jefferson's a brother. I can listen to that name and say, I'm not saying for sure he is, but the odds are overwhelming. And Leah Greenberg and Ezra Levin do sound like Jewish names. I wouldn't care if it was Bill Smith and Mary Jones. If they had been involved in the State Department and run BlackRock and had run BlackRock supported NGOs in the past and stuff like that, I'd say they're up to no good. I think they're up to no good. So at any rate, that's that. Thanks a lot, everybody. Oh, somebody said, pack your bags, Garland. Next step is El Salvador. Yeah, I think I probably got a cell there with my name on it. Alligators swimming around, just waiting to nibble on me. Oh, boy. All right. Thanks a lot, everybody. Certainly appreciate everybody taking their time out. Happy 4th of July. Happy false flag day. That's what I'm calling it. Have a wonderful time, everybody. Make sure you share this on all your social media platforms. And once again, follow me on Rockfin and Rumble and all that kind of stuff. Look, I got a P.O. box. You see it going by now. Feel free. If you want to mail a donation, if you want to mail a magazine, if you want to mail a letter or a card, if you want to mail a book, whatever you want to mail. Anthrax, probably not. Other than that, mail that to me if you can afford it. Buy Me a Coffee, Patreon, PayPal, Cash App, all that stuff is available to help the channel. But that's only if you can afford it. Either way, just make sure you share this on all your social media platforms. Oh, by the way, there's a little join button, so you can become a member for like $3 or $4 a month of this channel. That's always great. Thanks. I'm out.